right now ke kwatile because nze ke le busy ke tlhapa ka dikokotwane tsa di-vaslapa. Ke rekile di-vaslapa ko Temu o swa batho. Ke kwatile because toothbrush I got the bristles are starting to out here make like R. Kelly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sides. I don't care to brush straight anymore. Cause I'm sparsely spread like jam. I believe I can soar. And I'm not brushing like an open door. I believe I can fly. My toothbrush be out just singing me, I believe I can fly. And I'm like, listen, I bought 5 or 6 toothbrushes from Temu. And I can't brush my teeth with them right now. I'm busy brushing my teeth with a flat toothbrush. Flat. Whose bristles are flying. Like, R. Kelly. It's a magic carpet like they're Aladdin or whatever. That is my toothbrush. And I keep on brushing my teeth. Got that toothbrush. And I'm like, Lona is so, like, miserly that I'm even struggling to get my toothbrushes. Are you serious? I bought a whole bunch of toothbrushes. I think 2 packets from Temu. Lady Vaslapa, they're soft. It's malleable. That blow with the wind. Right now, the Vaslapas, even when it rains or blizzards, I still like... I've got 2 Vaslapas. One for me bodio and the other for my nether regions. And then my face, I don't wash it, Gadi Vaslapa. I wash my face because I don't want any pathogens all up in my grill. I'm acne prone. The Vaslapas, they're cadavers. And when it rains, because water doesn't even make them flow. Lemetsi, ha etse next ko di vaslapeng tsa ka yo. Ke rekile packet ya di vaslapa tse dingata ko Temu and I can't get di vaslapa tsa because Motu is withholding money from me because ba mo lorisitse. I am certain ba mo lorisitse because my mother, just like me, we are poop. And sometimes I'm a poop wakhe from God because they're true. Uke wa poopa nge apocalypse kupela the world, and the only place where it was safe was me. That was a dream from the Holy Spirit. In the last days, God is going to pour out His Spirit on all flesh. My mom gets dreams. Where Pupa Lomuntu ne spiritual gift in Jengami. That's where I got it from. But I am all chiseled because I'm born again. That's what's giving. So just like me, uya Pupa and nege umam upupa gaphlungu to a point where ebusuku zokuvusa aktose. Because she's like, ooh, wabua even la robetse. And it's not just my mom opupang, my older sister too. When she was here, my mom could not for the life of her sleep in the same bed because usiswam gay and uya kuluma vievi. No. I said I don't want to do it. My sister uya pupa and uya kulum. My mom uya pupa and then she goes mina ya pupa and I'm just like no because mine is all gentrified. What I'm trying to get at is that we be out all getting dreams in this household. I don't know if my little sister wa Laura, but I know that my older sister uya pupa, my mom uya pupa, nam ya pupa. Labantu, they've got a spiritual gift. They're not serving God, however. I'm the only one out here honoring God with my gift. And so because sonke siya pupa, the reason why my sister uyanga take kabuhlungu njena omdala no mawam is because baya pupiswa. The devil rides their spiritual gift and gives them the kinds of nightmares that make me upset. Every so often then like Laura kan thusa banketsang tsona. Bese ngiyabakwatela nje fela ke vele ke tsupule malumulo ma ke ba sheba useng ke ba nqaphela because ke bona gore ba etsang. So njengoma usathane can sow a lie ka doro. I'm pretty sure my mom was given a dream to treat me like trash on some I don't know you jack because of the way that she reacted. And listen, this is how in the world under heaven she reacted to your bewitchment to sow discord between me and my family members. Your bewitchment to hurt me. Let me show you that knows that I'm in pain. Let me tell you that knows I'm in a lot of pain. How she ignored all that even though she can sense that something is awry. And if I had committed suicide because of what she's doing, she would have blamed herself because she would have been indeed actively in the very process as it is ongoing of afflicting me to a point where I couldn't take it. Kamalami means pain. And so for those reasons, until I pray a prayer to God and I'm actually being mentioned in the Bible as something noble or whatever among all my brothers. I'm Jabez now. Get Jabez in now. Get Jabez. Amen. So seeing as that I'm prayed a Jabezian prayer, I'm like, God made me something relevant even though I'm supposed to be bringing all this pain. Lady be out, she when she giving birth to a sister. Next thing she be calling me pain. Show them what you be doing with all that. Ash just turned into beauty or whatever. You know how Jabez, Mama RJ be giving birth and she's like, ouch, that really hurt. And then she called her child pain. But Jabez did not want his life to follow him around like a log, like a sore thumb, like a mump, like chicken pox. He prayed to the Lord, please bless me, make me a blessing, and keep me. Make your face shine upon me and be gracious to me. Hallelujah, amen. And the Lord made him a blessing. The Bible doesn't say much else about Jabez other than the fact that pain. And he prayed to the Lord and God heard him. He answered from heaven and heard him because he was the most noble among his brothers. He was the most noble among his brothers, and yet he was the one among his brothers with the weirdest name. And as well in ancient Israel, a name spoke 1,000 words. A name, listen, was prophetic to what a person would actually be doing. So if your mother be calling you pain, 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 oh pain, when your mama be out just singing that kind of ballad when you're born, hey batum, I could be some misty blue. Now you Mary J. Blige or whatever. If you pray a prayer to the Lord on some, please change my painful name into a melody. Your name will then become melody. Jabez prayed a prayer and the Lord heard him and made him a blessing even though he was supposed to be a curse. My mother named me Jabez proverbially when I was born. You know why? Because she done given birth to a child throughout the pregnancy of which she was being mocked and skirt and spoken smack down to and told that she's a harlot because a baby in her stomach does not belong to a man. By my dad. My father was mocking and teasing and jeering at her. I'm gonna beat all different kinds of things and then went over and above it to accuse her of having an affair when that baby was conceived, because frankly they were not even all that engaging in relations around the time when I was conceived. It was one of those, you're mad at your husband all the time, but the one night when you're sort of kind of agreeing, you then have relations and a baby is made. How can I describe this? It's like Leah. You know, Leah was just this woman on Jefela whose life was really, really painful. Leah was married to Jacob. I get a la hopola. If you don't listen, I'm here for you. Leah was born, so Leah was the sister with the lazy eye. Essentially, she was the not so pretty one. And this chick was groveling for the affection of her husband. And so her first, I believe, 3 children, or is it 4? Right? 3. The first one, I get Reuben, and the second one, I believe, was Levi. And then the next one was somebody else. Maybe Dinah, I stand corrected. Or was it Simeon? I stand corrected. But then the 4th one was Judah, right? Leah gave birth to 4 children. And throughout all those, she had more after that. Mara. Those first 3, she kept on naming these children, now my husband will love me. Now my man will adore me. Now this, now that. The names of her first 3 sons, or maybe including Dinah, I stand correct. No, it was 3 sons, because I've given my husband 3 sons. The first 3 children, I believe it was Simeon, Levi, and Reuben, right? That was, well, Reuben first, followed by, I believe, Levi, and then Simeon, right? Yeah. And you know, God is amazing that way. Dinah was the daughter of Leah. And Dinah was so beautiful that a man decided to take her by force and rape her. So essentially, even from a woman that is struggling with an issue with like a lazy eye, can come forth such a glorious daughter that men will actually be doing, like wreaking a handsome amount of havoc in her life. Dinah was born from her. Dinah was born from Leah, but Leah so wanted the affection of her husband that, what do you call this? She named her children after her affection, after her desire for her husband. But then with Judah, something changed because of the fact that her husband was just kind of ignorant. She decided to focus on her relationship with God and name Judah Praise. This time around, I will praise the Lord. This time around, I will praise the Lord. She made a decision that this time around, I'm going to praise the Lord. And so I guess it makes sense that the Lion of the tribe of Judah, Jesus Christ himself, would come from the most unloved wife. Would also come from sometimes prostitutes, Tamar. And not Tamar. Well, Tamar wasn't a prostitute, but a fake prostitute. And then Rahab. Ruth, a Moabite. The Lord came from unseemly lineages of women. Do you understand? And he came from the least loved wife of Jacob, Leah. Judah, when he was born, Leah made a decision finally that she's going to praise. But before then, she was naming her children after her desire for her husband, right? These first 3 kids. And one of the pregnancies, I stand corrected as to which one. I believe the one that came afterwards, Skimang. Which child was it of Leah's? It was either before Judah or after Judah. I stand corrected, okay? You're gonna have to go and read the Bible. But the way that Leah so wanted her husband, she was upset at Rachel. She was supercalifragilisticexpialidocious upset at Rachel, and then Rachel wanted mandrakes. And she was like, give me some of your son's mandrakes. And Leah was like, must you take both my son's mandrakes and my husband? And then Leah is like, fine, I'll give you Jacob for the night. Just give me those mandrakes. And then Leah goes and grabs Jacob and is like, listen, lie with me because I have bought you with my son's mandrakes. You know, when a woman is so unloved that she actually has to be buying her man's affections with a child's mandrakes. I will give your favorite wife mandrakes, but favorite wife, let our husband come to my tent tonight so that For crying out loud, I can have my fair share of love from him. When women are like that, out here buying men's affection with mandrakes, maybe out here naming their children Reuben, Simeon, Levi, anything that has to do with I want my husband's affection. But at some point, women must now praise the Lord because listen, you've given me a son and I'm happy because it's not about him, it's about you. It's about you now. So I'm gonna name my child Judah. That was the story of Leah. Therefore, if a woman is unloved, she will keep on buying her husband's affection with mandrakes. And I mean, I don't know what modern day mandrakes equate to. When you have to lay with your husband lay with your husband by bribing him with the mandrakes that she gave to your favorite wife. Yeah. When that's the only time that you're gonna get your husband to lay with you, umntana loyo that is then made that night. That one fateful night when you laid with your husband because you bought him. You what do you call this? You secured his presence in your quarters this night with mandrakes. When that's what under heaven, when that's what you have to do to get your man to stay home. You have that one fateful night where you will lay with a husband that's never home, but you bought him with mandrakes. You bought him with pumpkin pie. You bought him with an elaborate, because you're trying to like juice up your marriage, lingerie outfit with candles and beautiful dinner. The one day that he comes home and you are just trying to spice up the marriage even though things are rocky and they're shaky and you are thoroughly trying to make it work. You're buying him with mandrakes and then you lay with him that night. But listen, he's still the same pampoon that don't care about you. I can end up now. You will lay with him and you will conceive another son. You will conceive a child. And I was conceived after my mother bought my dad with some mandrakes. So my name was Jabez. My dad was just absolutely aloof towards my mom. And because of their one little encounter in a season of Budrai in Jefel, snacks, she conceived. And so because my mother conceived from that one night where she bought him with mandrakes, my dad accused her of cheating. He said that you're pregnant, Ganjan. We're not even laying. We're not here, Ganjani. Listen, that one fateful night, I done bought you with my mandrakes, you idiot. I accused her throughout the pregnancy of having cheated, and that's why that baby is in her stomach. I guess I'm grateful that she didn't abort, except I really don't care because frankly right now I wish I was never born. I wish I was never born. But it is the child that was born with a woman's mandrakes that comes forth in bitterness that the mother looks at with limited care. I stand corrected as to which child was conceived that night. Was it Judah? I don't think so. Or maybe it was. Perhaps it was Judah. I don't know. Mara, one of the children of Leah was conceived in a dry patch where this man was not in the tent of Leah for a very long time, and the one time when he did go in there was a conception. Similarly too, also with the story of Tamar. You will remember how she laid only one night with Judah and she fell pregnant, she conceived. It was a miracle, essentially. That baby, Perez, those twins, Perez, again, you see, children conceived by men that have no interest in loving the woman in question. Judah had betrayed Tamar by not giving his youngest son to Tamar after the first two passed away because they were irresponsible in the sight of God. And Tamar tricked Judah into sleeping with her. And then there were twins born and she was considered a more righteous woman than Judah. Judah owned up to that thing that he did. Never laid again with Tamar after that. Character changed afterwards. But twins were conceived that night. And that particular fateful day where Judah was off the imagination that he was sleeping with a prostitute. And among the twins was Perez, who was in the lineage of Jesus Christ. So herein lies the Messiah conceived from a widow that was left out on a limb, that never would have had children, never been honored, never had anything done. And our Messiah that, listen, saved all of our souls, came from the womb of that woman. The one that was left for dead, the one that was out on a limb, the one that was on the side of the street, the one that was groveling for scraps, the one that was taken back to her father's household to live out the rest of her days as a widow, the one that, because she was pledged to Judah's son, could not go now that she's a widow and remarry elsewhere, otherwise she would be considered a whore. She put herself gostrating. And the one day when Judah was coming somewhere to some market, what do you call this thing? Some fair. He was going to some fair, some event. One really prostitute this Stradin. There it is again. You see what I'm talking about, guys? The electricity is now gonna likely come back again. Herein lies power being gone. And I don't know if it's gonna come back. Let me just go check. I'm gonna have to turn on the solar panels. You see, I'm telling a story. A lot of times it just comes back on its own again. There is something wrong with the power supply line. Let me go outside. Kilo di lagadi panels. Yeah, it was load shedding. My light is on. I just basically put it back on the solar panels. So therefore, because it's back on the solar panels, what might happen as I'm busy recording right now, I don't want to switch on my computer because it's done uploading all the content I needed to upload, and I don't want my computer going on and off because of the solar panels. Whatever's happening, nazo. Every so often the power goes off and comes back on again, off and on. So I'll just grab this light. I tend to like light coming at me from my computer. I'm not gonna switch on my computer, so I'm just gonna have this light on, and it's just gonna stay there. I had to put the inverter, because that's how solar panels are to be working. The charger during the day ka Eskom, and there's load shedding gamontle. There has not been load shedding clearly. There's not been load shedding clearly for a few days. The way that there was a flickering of Lebona Lena before. I don't know if you saw the flickering. You're gonna have to like rewind this video. There was a flickering, and then next thing the power all went off. Stuff like that was happening, but this time on the solar panels, right? On the solar power type establishment thing. And so because of what the Lord showed me, that it's solar power that is doing this thing. Solar. I then made a decision because the power was going off and on, disturbing my peace. I didn't put the stuff, all of it on Eskom, and so Eskom now is down, and that's why the power died. The power like switched off, and you saw how it took a minute while this light was flickering, but it took a little bit of a minute for it to fall apart because we're basically backed up by solar power, but I had turned off the solar power altogether and we were on Eskom. Mara, you see, being on Eskom, again, let me just finish speaking the story of Tamar. How he's going to help me deal with the witchcraft that is going to influence my mom, because dinjadi molori si tsa ngidi go yameno tsa mekhaba ya mekoko tse nkwatetseng tse futafutang steam tse blowing steam ngake animal blowing water out of a trunk ngathi ke elephant. Hey bakwatetse karabo, breathing fire like a dragon. I belong to God. Anyway, I was speaking about how it is that unseemly children, or rather the most baddest kids in the game, sometimes get born from obscurity. They get born in the weirdest times, and times when children were not supposed to be conceived. Frankly, if it was if at all based on the climate, the temperature of their marriage, at the time that I was conceived, I was never supposed to be conceived. It was just supposed to be my older sister, Njepela, because she was conceived at the beginning of their marriage. Their marriage only lasted 5 years because crazy men do stuff like that. Crazy men do stuff like that. Not 5 years, sorry, they divorced when I was 5, so their marriage lasted about like 6 or 7 years or whatever, because my sister was conceived very shortly afterwards, my older sister. That is, I was not supposed to be, okay, one night only. One night only is the only one needed to make a child a promise. Even though the husband don't be making no kind of say yes. All it takes is just one night for a woman to fall pregnant. That's why you got so many celebrities out here with like love children all over these streets with Dinyati, with a whole bunch of jump-offs, groupies, future, making babies with women from one night only. One night only, but you're my baby daddy now. And you gotta go and take a DNA test. All it takes is one night. But my dad was accusing my mom of having an affair. So when a child is born from that kind of situation, mother be out calling her child pain. Pain. Besa pumagim. Uveze wang biza pain wa pumagim. Nasithengela icathulo zami lost and found. Ngakhuliswa uGod. Ngathandwa uSomandla. And the Lord refused to, basically thanks to my mother's negligence as a result of my father's irresponsibility. The Lord made out of me Ujabez. The Lord made out of me Perez. The Lord made out of me a child born from a woman's sorrow that the woman is likely just going to ignore. But from her is going to come forth a great deal of other things. So, I mean, if at all the Lord is taking up the cause of Jabez, there's going to be flickers of electricity when you are trying to kill Jabez before his time of shining. When Jabez asked the Lord for a blessing, the Lord bless you and keep you, Jabez, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. If the Lord has seen it fit to make Jabez a blessing, but then jabby, I'll just be getting put up for failure, set up for failure, but set up for suicide. Una le monna o kwatileng wa skwenya meno le mpandlane le mokhaba wa lekoko o kwatetseng Jabez, or Jabez, the female version. If at all there is a do so mad at your child called pain, that he will utilize taba, you've got an issue nomtanako. Danungamtandi krensha. Khalo ole negligent. Usnan taba. Seeing as people of ancient civilizations and generally still to this 2025 day recognize, superstitiously so, the era, the freaky little activity that befalls impilo zabo when they are hurting Jabez. I mean, the guy's name is Pain, we get it, but God sees him as a pleasurable sight to gaze upon. God loves this guy. You don't care, but like, listen, God loves him. The Lord understood that the abandoned Tamar was the mother of our salvation, ultimately. Yeah, because Jesus' name means the Lord our salvation. The Lord knew that Tamar could not just be left to have her eggs rot and grow cold and burn in an oven that would never ever bring forth fruit. The Lord knew through which women he would proliferate his lineage. If the people of God never went into Jericho, Rahab, the historical harlot turned righteous lady, would never have brought forth the seed that would ultimately bring forth the Messiah. The Lord knows through which blood he would bring forth things he needed to bring forth. Messiah, Messiah, David. The Lord knew through whom Bana, Baling very important moments that will come. So any event in history that threatens that will be threatened back. Any event in history that threatens that will be threatened back. Any event in history threatening that will be threatened back. The Lord is the one that I would imagine filled Tamar with the Holy Spirit to go on right ahead and do that which she needed to do, because he knew that Christ would come from her. The Lord is the one that caused that fight in the wilderness, in the bush, between Leah and Rachel, so as to ultimately get the company of Jacob with some mandrakes. God knows where people are literally trying to cause a person to miss opportunities. Oh yeah, Zuguti, who is supposed to be born. It's what I'm getting at. The Lord knows that without certain people, what his work that he is trying to do out here in these streets will not be achieved. He's doing no other thing but gather for himself a people for his own possession. That is our king. And so therefore, if Christ could not be born, whatever, what are we doing here? From now on, Satan, serpent, you will be at enmity with the woman. You will be at enmity with her seed. And you know how the judgment on the devil was that he will be at enmity with the woman and with her seed. That is just what the devil does. Look at me, I'm like 41. I'm a righteous woman. I'm godly, so I stand to proliferate godly seed. Not only that are hybrids, but also that are so diabolical that they would frankly just fail abysmally at bringing forth godly children. Not only that, they're not the exact genetic makeup to be my son's fathers, or even my daughter's fathers. And yet they want to take me gangan. And if they're all, I don't want to concede, neither capitulate. They want these idiota to threaten me with menopausing without kids. They want to threaten me with menopausing without kids. And if at all I can't accept menopausing without children in my stride, they then also want to say, listen, you can also, this is absolutely an option since you won't capitulate, neither concede. You can also, honey bumblebee, just die. Commit suicide. Writhe at the prospect of turning 50 still with nothing. Because we want to turn you 50 then. And then because you just can't wait another 10 years, you can't wait another 9 years, you will go on right ahead and hang yourself. Not only me, Jabez, but the eggs in my stomach that are Perez, or Judah, or Samuel with Hannah. Or, children just born out of adversity. I was born out of adversity. Mom was with dad during a time when everybody's fighting, does not lay with him again, and yet she falls pregnant. And the guy accuses her of committing adultery, and then the child gets born, looking like the bampoon. And the guy's like, okay, I guess it's my kid. But the mother is already by then so bereft because of the way that she was mistreated during pregnancy that she can't see glory in her own child, especially considering that child now looks like her dad. My life is weird. I look like my dad in my earlier life, but in my later life, I look like my mom. It's just one of those transformations. It's like Blue Ivy. Now she looks like both Jay-Z and Beyonce. In the earlier life, she looked like Jay-Z more than Beyonce. Now that she's getting older, she's looking more like Beyonce. That's how it is with me. In the beginning stages of my life, I looked like my dad, and then as I got older and became a woman and entered into myself, I looked more like my mom. And so because I look so much like the man that she was just at enmity with at the time, she couldn't even love me. She had a severity of postpartum depression. And that can account for why it is that I didn't actually purchase my own school uniform from Lost and Found. I got my own school uniform from Lost and Found, and if all the child that was born during a time of love, my older sister, if that child did not have my back and out here drench me with Donna Karen, it would have been evident that I've never been poor. I've never come from a poor family. I've always been middle class. If anything, middle class headed towards upper middle class, headed towards wealthy. It's just that my dad dropped the ball, but my family has been doing well all this time. My mom is an executive in a company, right? Listen, my family are well off. My family are okay. Yeah, like, you know how Kilegwaride saying you and your ESCOM, look at what your ESCOM just did, but look at what, in spite of your ESCOM, I just did. I switched the lights back on. Because we've got solar panels. I switch the lights back on. That's my family. We get uncomfortable, is something, and we fix it. And money ain't never been a thing. Well, there was a time when money was a thing, but there's always correction. We always bounce back. So, Mamelang, just because I was born to Jabez's mama or Tamar, just because I was born to Leah, the unloved wife, does not mean. Just because I was born to Leah, the unloved wife, does not mean I'm not from the tribe of Jacob. Listen. The patriarch. Leah was one of the wives of the patriarchs of Israel, and she brought forth the one that brought forth our Messiah. I might be the unloved wife, and so every so often I got dark circles under my eyes, and when I go to the spa, everybody be looking at me like I ain't jack because I'm even walking in there with a gown and some flip-flops. Because my husband is mean-spirited. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you grab a magnifying glass and carefully peruse the cultures underneath it, you will discover that she is the wife of the patriarch of a dynasty. From her came forth kings. She's just having a bad day because her man don't love her. She gotta buy him with some mandrakes. That's who I am. I've got a bad day because my mama doesn't love me as she ought. Because she bought my dad with mandrakes. Mara, if y'all were to bump into my mom at the store, at the Pick and Pay, if you were to bump into my mom at a Woolies, yes, like a dog, you would think she is the wife of some pioneer. You would think she is the wife of some empire owner. You would think my mother is the wife of some CEO. You would think my mother is the wife of the president. Mfazi muhle, and she is regal in her poise. Ufana, please, like go and grab a 60-something-year-old version of me. Regal, queenly, put together. Somewhat of a snob. Who's on Quara right now? Who's on Jella in Tabazenu? That's just a way to get off. Scan you up and down on some way. That's my mom. Looking all regal. I drive a koloi mazaza. Looking all regal. I talk koloing. I can Wamonga from Komunyako because her perfume is the kind that lingers. That's my mom. Kamura haye. What's about Horeke haye? Because in Hayena and it's regal. Maganyeko. Go empty. Go hollow. Yabande ka ejaptini because she's got presence. Una the clout. Una le siriti musadiyo. Ukamotaba. Ukasimunyanzi. Ukasimu. Unyega atumele nje anyway anyhow again akokho umuntu ozoziqhitha nje azithele like amanzi komantunga mme waka ha khatiwi nje fela kalula hatelwe mosadi she looks at you nje fela I won and people respond to her as sawubona mama unjani uyahlonipha lo muntu so impilo engiphilayo umpeyile fathe mme waka hle umpeyile fathe and the reason umpeyile fathe is because she was the wife of that nasty that caused her to essentially one day when her daughter became regal just like her because she had lost her youthful spunk and splendor now has got not postpartum depression but narcissistic personality disorder. Now she's got narcissistic personality disorder. You know some women that are abusive cause ngiphuza face namaskama ningi nje uyahlala yambona ukuthi lwake nandaba uhlela phethe ibhiri brandy bujwala jwang there's a reason why like hlatsa botlhoko hampe ha ne ke nile bujwala. I can't hold my liquor. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom bujwala. Why me ka December ka Christmas and stack up like there was a time when she had wine holes. You know the wine cellars, like those holes. So wine. Into her kitchen, like the architecture of the kitchen because it was cute. Only because she's that girl. Wahusta mewa ka lahla di party tsengwe tse hectic tse kotsi o phega a di gate o wite ba lo go dula kae cause wana o batla o ja mo jarateng so o rata o hosta o na rata ha holo hosta mara sa hosta as much anymore because of the taboo that she made me. And so because mama mega thanda hosta even though yena akazingeni indaba zotshwala asoka aborata unana lo reka di wine nje fela tsa go dura tse tswang kae kae avela di stack mo nje fela cause they're just cute and then they would stay there like jaraka fela until December when my uncles and them come in and they will use one bottle or two so the wine could just chill mo jarateng with Karabo, my mom and my little sister for 4 years straight. Wine and just like yeah, but then my older sister, the alcoholic, lost everything because of that, and she is the one that inherited my dad's alcoholism. Wazale Jartini stayed with us for a few months, and within the first few weeks of her being here, the wines all fell off, gone. Out your aging. They were aging. That's my mom. I got poozy no poos. I got but she can host you and out your feed you and out your pour a bottle of wine to you. Because you're her guest. So essentially my mother could have been the wife of a man or noang, and even though she did not like alcohol herself, nonetheless rock up every night when she sees that you're stressed with a tray and angry whiskey and say this is to calm your nerves. Even though you're naga puzi, I thought that would kill for women like those, and yet my dad could not care less. There was a day when some time ago, when I was in primary school, I can't remember because she was a host. Why didn't she marry again? You know when you were married to a dude also make her show she was such a great wife material that doesn't make sense that she never remarried, and all the guys that she met that passed her up also. Listen, I'm living her life. Volume 2.0 okay, repeat. This year is a generational curse out here pouncing at you like a beast in the wilderness. My dad. Yeah, I get he was a deadbeat dad. I get that was Nasnadaba. Mara, I get when you used to love a man, if at all he looks like he's straightening up and he's flying right, you might be prepared if he will get his act together. So even after a divorce, my mom appeared open to the prospect of returning to my dad. Mara, it never happened because my father was always the one dropping that ball. Until because they can't get their ex-wives back. They are the ones that make sure that women who are happy to return to ex-husbands. Just can't, because listen, my dad walks up, ke primary school. I've already told the story, the way he was so disappointing. Grade 7, I had not one Miss Winchester Ridge Primary, but I was in the top 5. And there was a snapper of mine, ke modlula, nje fela modlula, khatla, ithombe ziyathathwa, ukarabo came top 5 Miss Winchester Ridge Primary School, grade 7. Yeah. Ithombe sam, the only one that I had, ithombe zam, the only ones that I had. They were printed by the school and given to me after Miss Winchester Ridge Primary School. Yeah, young came top 5. I didn't win, but listen, if I had kept on that pageant tip, I might have won Miss South Africa. Okay, listen, I might have won. Anyway, whatever. That I'll never ever get back again, except maybe when I get to heaven one day, God will show them to me again. As a young girl. You see, my mother has such a beautiful daughter that I was entered into a competition. My teacher, Etlasine, was the one when Miss Winchester Ridge was like a whole thing. They were gonna do it that year. My homeroom teacher, because I guess she didn't think I was beautiful because I look like my dad. My homeroom teacher was like, Karabo, Candace, Larato, Hutatso. You 4 girls, come here. Okumanati privately. Look, guys, there's Miss Winchester, and I want maybe there be a representation in my class. And I think you 4 girls, yeah, I want you to enter. I mean, it's up to you, but I'm just giving you advice. And so I was like, okay, ma'am, you can enter me. I agreed. I think we all did agree. And out of my class, I was the one that came top 5. The chick that won was in standard 4. I was in standard 5. Yeah, some colored chick. But my teacher was the one that recommended that I enter Miss Winchester Ridge Primary because she wanted representation from her own class. Wabiza 4 chicks included 1 white girl and 3 black girls. Was Biza Pambili was recommenda. Because she figured, I get it, she's a teacher. And so she was like, out of you 4, which one of you, like, I would like you guys to join to enter. And I agreed based on her counsel on my primary, my Mrs. Bierkus from, you remember Mrs. Bierkus from Winchester Ridge? Yeah. No, we were ignoring the flyers and the announcement in assembly. Join Miss Winchester Ridge if you want to. And so she came to us, she brought us and she asked us privately. And so I joined it and I came top 5. So I guess she was able to spot it could work, Mrs. Bierkus, and I'm grateful for that. Shout out to Mrs. Bierkus. Grade 7, homeroom, teacher, Winchester Ridge Primary. I got memories out here for life. Because I was a fly little primary school chick. I was tall and thin looking like a model. What? My dad walks up. Shortly after Mrs. Winchester comes and goes, I got photos and my dad is here. And you know when you're a child, you love your dad so much. I was like, Papa, Bona, give me the number 5. I was in the top 5 for Miss Winchester. He was like, oh, mwana kanana hu sisi. That's on like the frame. Get up on Telepatica fella when I go Montlejang. I'm probably Mrs. Winchester Ridge Primary. I was like, okay. And I gave him my photographs. The same day, he rocked out a Cressida. I remember even the car. It was a Cressida. And then him and my mom talk and chat. And my mother had this bar. Understand? A boyfriend at the time. She had a boyfriend. Some dude. She was dating some guy. I remember him. But that guy clearly paled in comparison to my dad. Because Umawam acted in ways so as to evidence to my father that if you get your act together and if you act right, you can come back. Because frankly, right now, just again the best. I get 100%. And Elena has because when I was in primary school, go Mayfair Convent. It was a Catholic school. I was taught to pray. And so for my parents to get back together. Listen, every single night I pray for my parents to get back together again. But they never got back together again because if at all something is not God's will, it's not. And the Lord showed me that that my mom's heart was open to it. My mom's heart was open to it. The issue here was my dad. So I asked for my parents to reconcile. The Lord shows me if at all your dad gets his act together, it's possible. I then discover in grade 7 that, listen, it's probably not going to happen. I eventually got over it in high school. I realized it's not happening. I didn't even care for it to happen because listen, you literally absconded with my photographs. What are you doing? Baba. Wenseng mustrating. Dika dinep. Dika gone. To this day, they're still out there in the wind. Ziandi zanje like inyoni. Gone. Anyway, whatever. Wafika. My mom had this bar. And by bar, I mean like it was there for alcohol, mara. It looked like the world. I bet you've seen it in some movies. You know, I don't know if you've seen Scarface, that movie from back in the day. Yamagenza. One of the scenes in that movie, they're busy out here like opening and closing like a mobile bar that looks like the world. It looks like the earth. I think it's Scarface. Listen, one of these gangster movies. It might have even been Storisa. Al Capone, I don't know, whatever, just one of these gangster movies from long ago. I wouldn't recommend you go watch them because they're violent and licentious, but if you've seen it before, you might be able to relate with what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? Movie made of the earth. It looks like a globe of the earth. But when you open it, it's literally like an alcohol bar in a lady holes and it's there to be put like in an office. It's really beautiful. Do you understand? But if you don't want your alcohol in a stand or a display because you don't want people to see that it's alcohol, it can actually be a decorative feature out. You're looking like a globe. You know those globes that you can spin on your desk like that? But instead of it spinning, our bar did spin, but it did not spin around because it held alcohol. It spun just like on an axis. Like it was a very beautiful like piece of furniture. And inside this bar, no lady drinks. My mom, I get it, unana boyfriend, and the unana lady told me every so often that she would host, and my uncles and everything. When they would come over, he would then about tell Lady Jack Daniel, Lady Jane, B, some very expensive vodkas and whatnot. Not so much wines and lady wine. Yeah, there were wines in there, lady vodka. Mara, go higher, just as I've always known. There was always alcohol at Jardini because my mom was a host, very queenly, that was willing to just serve a strong drink to kings if they wanted. But in and of herself, she's a poised lady. I don't touch any of that. There was always alcohol other than by my mom's boyfriend, or during a Christmas or a birthday or just in some Saturday where she's got a whole bunch of people over. Then she would take out bourgeois on some, what do you want, wine? What do you want, champagne? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And inside this bar was just a whole bunch of pooza. And Mr. Pooza was like, I'm a vodka njanini. My sister is an alcoholic today. However, thank the Lord she's in recovery, and I hope that sticks. And her main drink of choice is vodka. Like, listen, these things follow children around. They follow children around. It's not wine. It's not beer. It's vodka. And my dad was into like stiff alcohol like that. Yo. So herein lies Baena, that ever since we were living at Winchester Hills, always had alcohol in it. It always had alcohol in it. And nobody was drinking it. I was in primary school. My sister was in high school. My sister did begin to experiment with alcohol indeed in high school, but she would never dare experiment with what are you doing? She would never do that. Autumn harvest by yourself and experiment in a corner with other teenagers. You don't get to go and grab so no one ever touched that alcohol. And because my mom didn't drink, there would be a bottle of vodka sitting in that bar for 2 years straight. It is still 3/4 in. And then after there are guests that come over, like my uncles and whatnot, it would then be at the bottom, 1/4 left, because some of it has been drunk, and that 1/4 would stay there for another 1.5 years. Not even in the slightest. And my mom, every so often she will have 1 glass of wine, mara. She can't handle her liquor, just like me. The Lord made it such that her DNA, her genes, so drunk like a skunk, and then she's the kind of person to leave a glass of wine and wine at 3/4 full. Just like my mom, everybody, host pipe. And at some point I was like, listen, this stuff clearly I ain't funny, so wine first, and I just stopped cold turkey. Anyway, whatever, that particular fateful crazy day, in that fateful crazy 1997. Yeah, because it was then at 5. I remember it was then at 5 because it was after Winchester Ridge Primary. My dad comes, I give him my photos, I feel all excited. He rocks up, spends the whole day with my mom. At some point they were dancing in the lounge to their nasty music, because I always thought their music was nasty. But like, maybe better, I don't know. Like Al Green, like some old stuff that they were listening to. And I remember just feeling all chuffed that my dad is here and he's dancing with my mom, so they might get back together. My prayers are about to be answered. My dad is gonna grab my photographs and go and frame them and bring them back, and we're gonna put them on the wall. He said that he not only said that he's going to frame them, but that he's going to enlarge them. So it was just going to be hanging, just like lounge on me looking like me modeling Miss Winchester. Whatever. Listen, whatever. Okay. My dad goes in that bar. And Mewaka at this point, listen, my dad, I don't know if she was dealing with his alcoholism back then, but his alcoholism ultimately became an issue, so she would not have given him alcohol. If at all, he was already like just a ravenous alcoholic. She just imagined him a dude that every so often drinks. And since at this point, I get they divorced when I was 5. At this point, I am in grade 7, so that makes me 13. It's been a minute. Therefore, whatever alcohol level he was at when they were together, when they got divorced, divorced certainly has ever since then ramped up like an inclination, like an escalator. It has gone out of the roof. So my mom only remembers my dad and he's drinking. That was likely occasional, maybe on the weekend. During the week, unale sober, right? Maybe way before then. And at this stage, my dad had gotten divorced from the second wife because there was a second wife a little earlier on. And now, well, again, my daughter that say I'll replace a woman because I always need the company of a woman. Somebody, the warmth of a woman, the nurturing spirit of umfazi kwamele. Listen, they lasted even less years than my mom and dad. My dad's marriage with his second wife maybe lasted for my 3-4 years, whereas with my mom it was like for my 7 years. So I mean, really, if at all your marriages just keep on falling apart like that, what is the common denominator here? It's you. So all these women that think that they can just keep taking men from other husbands, you from other wives, how to deal the same thing busy, it's still coursing through the veins of that guy, and he is going to wreak havoc in the second wife's life. Oh, he wreaked havoc in my mom's life, and then lay havoc in my mom's, the stepmom. And imagine the stepmom, I sure at the end of my mom and dad's marriage, already my dad was drinking then, of course, he was drinking then, of course. However, and my dad also used to smoke, but then he quit because there was nothing in it for him. So frankly, he had it in him to abandon substances because he could quit cigarettes. He used to smoke cigarettes all the way up until he died. He was not a smoker anymore. It showed that he had no self-control. No self-control. He didn't have the desire to. Because listen, if you can quit smoking, you can quit drinking. How do you quit the one and then maintain the other? You just are stubborn. You are escaping. It's escapism. You're giving yourself alcoholic bravery. You are escaping. And since cigarettes don't give you a high, at least they ought not. They used to make me high. I hated them. Because they don't give you a high. However, alcohol gives you a drunk. Given that your consciousness is not altered, because certain substances give you an altered state of consciousness. You are drunk. That is an altered state of consciousness. When you are high, that is an altered state of consciousness. You know, it is literally ridiculously freaky. I had an ex-boyfriend that was a pachi smoker, Zol, and of course a drinker and a smoker, and he also quit cigarettes. And when I asked him why would you a cigarette, he was like, alcohol, when you drink it you get drunk. Zol, when you smoke it you get high. Cigarette. Listen, they are chasing an altered state of consciousness to escape their consciences are beating down on them for being so irresponsible with women or with people in general. They're hedonistic lifestyles that are out here grabbing pleasure without awarding yourself responsibility over those that God has given you to steward. It's causing you to try and forget through substances. My ex-boyfriend was an excruciating philanderer. He likely broke so many hearts and made so many girls cry that maybe that's why naithatela zol. And that's why naithatela bujwala. Because if you're going to spend your life ignoring your conscience, you need to self-medicate. And so it makes sense why my dad, who had it within himself, within all that capacity to actually drop cigarettes, he showed that he could drop substances. He didn't drop alcohol. He, however, was able to successfully and permanently drop cigarettes. So him not stopping drinking was essentially a coping mechanism for losing 2 wives and his children's respect in totality. He was coping. Rather than rehabilitate himself to sense, he just self-medicated. And I'm dealing with Amadoda Anjalo. They're self-medicating because, like I said, I remind them of the past. They're actually getting slapped by nostalgia when they listen to me. And so, babata their innocence. However, because they are unprepared to humble themselves, put their tail between their legs and submit to the Lord, that they might be cleansed from their former ways, that they might make amends, that they might apologize to ex-wives and children, instead of making amends for their folly, they self-medicate. So then a man that is just a casual drinker becomes an alcoholic. My mom was not aware of my dad's alcoholism clearly on that fateful day when he rocked up go Winchester Hills go Jara thing, because if she knew, she would not have given him Pooza. She would not have given him access to bar. She wouldn't have. Likely because by the time they divorced when I was just 5 years old, he was yet to be just a prolific drunk. He was yet to be that thing. But his marriage with his second wife didn't last as long. Because, I mean, listen, a drunk is, you can't, my older sister is a drunk. She's an alcoholic. I remember a time when you and my sister was good people's, your great company. And I'm out telling that story. She was excellent company. You could do nothing without her being in the room. And then there came a time when she was avoidable now because Megui Dagwa. A drunk is avoidable. A junkie is avoidable, even though they historically used to be just pleasant, delightful. A drunk is avoidable, even though historically they used to be delightful. And so my dad was delightful. I would remember. There was a time when he was delightful. I loved my dad when I was a child. By the time he passed away, I couldn't stand him. Panadola. That's what he used to call me. Everybody used to love him, the kids. He used to call my cousin Stage. Hey, he was that daddy that be out playing with all the kids. Oh no, he was excellent with children, which is why I'm good with kids. It's an inheritance. Mara he squandered it now like proper. By the time he passed away, because and so since he was still seeing as he was still calling me Mapanadola, and seeing as he was still calling my little cousin, my other cousin, my best cousin Stage, seeing as he used to give us puppy names, that's why I also give people puppy names. I took it from my dad. Everybody had their beautiful character, virtues. Mamela, when people get to heaven, when they get to hell, when they get to eternity after dying, the Lord is going to show them, dog, look at what I gave you. I made you an excellent father. I made you an excellent uncle. I made you that father figure, that patriarch that everybody goes to, everybody loves. Cousin, niece, nephew. You are great with children, and yet you chose to abandon all of your children. Your son died in gun violence, and your 2 daughters are now today at odds and enmity with each other because the one inherited your alcoholism, the other gave her life to me, and you could not even have her back. One of your boys tried to devour her, and you just watched it happen. But in the beginning, uncle, I made you a great dad, and you went and squandered it with the bottle. And so, if at all you go and you squander your great dadhood with the bottle, and you squander your could have been an excellent husband, wabona my sister's generosity. It's of no essence. You can just part ways like 30,000 just in one sitting, just swipe at Vit's fees department. At fee school, like proper. If at all you can just go to the fees department at Vit's and just swipe your Investec card. Oh, private banking, wonderful you. And say it's nothing. You'll just buy me Mazemba on my birthday. You have been given a gift of generosity, and my dad was like that. Maybe that's why my mom fell in love with him like that. I'm like, listen, Moaka comes from a simple, like my uncle, my mom's siblings.